Who would win a 100-metre race?
Oh, sometimes runs past me, like he'll do it and if at the end of training he'll run past, and honestly it's like you almost feel the wind, like he's going that quick, like you almost hear it. Probably one of the strongest guys around. Yeah, potentially could be, like if he didn't play footy, he would be absolutely crazy. Bench 230 or something crazy. Like
230?
Something. His strength in the gym isn't transferable to his strength on the field. He is way stronger in the field than the gym. I think we can all run faster in 6 weeks, 100%. Yeah. And so, you know, running fast is about...
Hey everyone, welcome to the What I've podcast, presented to you by Betcha. Yes, super exciting news having Betcha on board with What I've, New Zealand's newest way to bet on sport. And what I love about Betcha is they've really doubled down on the social aspect of betting, and that is what it should all be about. Always make sure you never bet more than you can afford to lose. If you're not on Betcha, you can sign up for $25, put $25 into your account and you'll get $100 worth of bonus bets just to get started. But hopefully, sit back, relax and enjoy another What I've episode. Well, today I have an absolute treat for you all with the man who is widely regarded as the greatest rugby trainer to have ever lived. He's been with the All Blacks for the last whopping 18 years. He's worked with all of the greats and he's had a huge part of the All Blacks' success, which has included 2 Rugby World Cup victories and plenty of other silverware. He's also a champion man who everyone speaks extremely highly of. It is, of course, the legend himself, Nic Gill. Welcome, mate.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you, mate. Thanks.
Greatest ever.
Yeah,
widely regarded.
I don't know about that. Just an old dog, mate. That's all.
18 years, though. 18 years with the All Blacks. That is impressive.
Yeah, long time, eh? Sort of
very long time.
Can't actually remember starting. It was that long ago. I'm getting old and the memory's fading, but yeah, no, it's been a while.
Longest ever, is it? To be in the All Black environment? 18 years?
Oh, no, there's been a couple of other members of management that have been around for 19, 20 years. So,
oh, yeah? Oh, geez.
No, obviously not involved anymore, but there's been a couple.
You'd be the longest in the current crop, because obviously there was a bit of a fresh start for a lot of the staff last year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Katrina Dario, nutritionist, has been around for as long as me. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she's her and I are the old dogs. Yeah.
Right. And when Razor came in, were you expecting to stay on?
Oh, no.
You weren't?
No, I wasn't at all. It was very much a wait and see sort of moment as to who got the head coach job, and then the head coach was given the sort of autonomy to decide whether they wanted certain people to stay on or not. So as should be the case. So it was a little bit of waiting, fingers crossed. I was a bit worried.
You got there in the end?
Yeah, it was actually really interesting because I was actually down visiting the Crusaders, in my current role, because I was still employed and we had a World Cup to win, and he just texted and said, "Hey, can we have a coffee?" And then he just started talking to me like I was working for him or with him. Yeah, and there was never ever a conversation or anything. So it was awesome. So
you didn't have to go through an interview process or anything.
No, like just sat down and said, "Hey, you want you to carry on, so congratulations, it's awesome. Everyone speaks highly of you, so we'd love you to stay on board," sort of thing. So I was like, "Oh wow, phew."
What would you have done? What would you?
Oh, I don't know. Nothing would have changed that year, but just like everyone else would do, is you start looking and start thinking about what's next, and I sort of can't imagine what else I would do at the moment. There's lots of other sports I'd love to have a crack in, but I'm also not getting any younger, so I sort of in a funny place, just trying to figure out what I would do, but don't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah. So. And you mentioned that everyone spoke so highly of you. What's been the key for that, for you think, over the last 18 years to still be spoken so highly of?
I don't know. I think I can't say what, I don't know what others say, but like I've always felt that no feedback's good.
Yeah.
You know, so when I first started, there was a little bit of noise because I was perceived, well, I wasn't perceived, I was pretty full on. And I remember being told by a few senior players to just, you know, call the jets a little bit.
One Nonu probably.
Yeah, some of those old dogs. And I sort of, you know, took a little bit of a different approach after that. And I think trust is important in terms of my job, the players trusting me and what I do and how I work with them. I think that's probably the key in collaborating with the athletes because, you know, they know their body. I've got ideas too, and it can't just be the player making the decision, but if we're making a shared decision and a plan to have you in the best shape possible for Saturday, then I think that builds trust and, yeah, that's probably the key thing for me. I think.
I guess that's the real benefit of you being there for such a long time is that you've worked with some of these guys since they came straight out of school and you get to see them go all the way through almost 12-year careers, maybe longer for some of them in 100%. Your environment. So it must be pretty special.
Yeah, 100%. Like I was actually messaging Sam Whitelock today and he's a pest. You know, I remember him coming in and you know, he was a young fella and then, you know, he finishes with an amazing All Black career, and I was lucky enough to be alongside him for heaps of it. And so yeah, you see people come in and people go, but you see people come in and establish themselves and be there for a long, long time. It's so cool to see.
Yeah, and getting someone like Sam Whitelock physically ready to get through the amount of tests as he did.
Oh, especially the shape he came in, man. Like fat, skinny, unfit, slow, old. Like, you know, he was. We had to put a bit of work into him, but he came good eventually.
Yeah. So what's your job basically? What's the biggest key to your role?
Oh, biggest key. I think the and this is sort of something that I inherited when I came into the All Blacks was, you know, my job or our job as a health and performance team is to try and set the player up to be able to express themselves on Saturday. Like it's a sport, it's a game. You know, they we play the game for enjoyment. And people want to be out on the park expressing their ability. And so really it's about trying to put them in the best place, give them the tools, give them the structure, give them the knowledge, to create some routines and habits that allow them to express themselves every weekend.
Yeah.
To the best of their ability and be able to do it week in, week out for as long as they want. You know, like, you know, you got one body, you look after it. So our job is to help you get the most out of it for as long as possible.
And how big's your team? You mentioned your team there, and you head that? You head that team?
Yeah. In the All Blacks at the moment, there's 6 of us, and so a small group. Yeah. Compared to most health and performance teams in rugby. We're a small group, lean and mean. And I think that's probably a strength of the group is less people. We've got to go a bit deeper and work a bit harder, but I think the outcome is better. Yeah,
and your key areas are what? The physical side, the gym, training plans, is that what you look for? Yeah, so I haven't stepped away from that. I still write gym programs. I still do all that stuff. Yeah. I sort of feel like as soon as I stop doing that, I'm one layer removed from the player, and I sort of want to stay close to the player to, I suppose, offer as much as I can. And sometimes it's a kick up the butt, and sometimes it's a cuddle, and sometimes it's a high five. Just like I think staying connected to the player and their program and their structures and their week plan is really important. And would that be through the full season? Or obviously, a lot of the players go to Super Rugby teams, and then you're not really with them. But are you keeping in contact with them, or because the All Blacks is a short block for you to have any sort of physical gains, isn't it? Yeah, well, yes and no. Like I think because you're fully assembled in a hotel and you don't tend to go home for very long. We definitely get, I think, stronger and in better shape over an All Black season because you're eating quality food, you're sleeping better, your recovery is like world class, like everything is set up for you to be the best you can be. And so I think we do get better over an All Black season physically. It's a long year, and it does depend on the shape players come in after a super campaign, but I sort of look after the players to a high level of detail in the All Black season, and then once the All Black season finishes, then they're back to the club, and the club
runs their program, but we collaborate with the club. So, I'm here at the moment and I'm working closely with the Crusaders staff on potential All Blacks for this coming season. So we collaborate and discuss players weekly with the clubs.
Oh, that's cool. And I guess it's the whole balance of pushing players and giving them time to mentally freshen up. Like that's probably a real balancing act for you.
Oh, absolutely. Like the All Blacks that play a big international season, that impacts on the following year, and a super player that has a big super season impacts the All Black year. So the previous 6 months impacts the next 6 months, and so that ability to refresh or balance physical and mental load is a massive consideration. Because I'm talking about physical, but the impact that just playing week in, week out in a structured environment has mentally, it's sort of, people need to get out of it for periods of time to sort of refresh and I suppose fill the tank again to go for another, 6, 7, 8, 10 games.
Yeah. And have you seen the benefits of those? I mean, we've had those rest weeks previously, and I guess a lot of the All Blacks start later into pre-season. Do you see the benefit of that at the back end when they come back to the All Blacks?
Oh,
massively.
Without a doubt. Like, if a player starts Super round one, some of them can play 30 games and finish in November. It's a long time to be, going to the gym 3 times, 4 times a week, going to rugby training. I want to say it's monotonous, but it's a long time to be playing footy. And so you definitely need to freshen up after that, physically and mentally. And then you sort of, you have a bit of space, but then you got to reload and get ready for the next season. So you sort of need to get the balance of how much you switch off as well. It's something we've learned. We haven't always got it right with some players, and some players we keep nailing it week in, week out, year in, year out, and that's why they can, go for a long time. Like, I think New Zealand rugby, in our approach of over the last probably 10, 15 years around looking after our international players, I think has allowed the Sam Whitelocks to play for so long. We got some players, the Dane Coles, we got players that are into their mid-30s that are still going strong at the international level, and it's becoming more and more common. Bodie Barrett's, we got players that have played a long, long time.
Yeah.
And those periods of refresh and recharge help with that.
How does someone like Bowden's training plan compare to one of the younger backs in the squad?
Yeah, to be fair, people talk us that all the time. In the All Blacks, you sort of don't get dumbed down too much.
Yeah.
You got to train fully. You only got 35, 36 players assembled, so everyone has to do everything. And as soon as you can't, you sort of, your position's at jeopardy.
Yeah.
So we don't dumb things down too much. In the gym and rehab and injury prevention type stuff might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But typically the thing that changes most as players go through their season or through their career and they get a bit older is they just have to put more and more time into warming the carcass up, recovering, maybe an extra massage a week.
Yeah.
So generally looking after the body becomes more and more important. So that's probably the biggest shift I see in players as they get older is they look after the carcass a bit more than when they were 20.
Yeah, mate. Well, I can see why you've been in the team for 18 years, mate. You're an absolute wizard.
Oh, no, I don't know about that, mate. I don't know about that.
But I am keen to hear a little bit how you got in there and how it all sort of started for you. So take us back to a time when young Gilly was running around.
A long time ago, I wanted to work in sport, finished a degree in Dunedin, and there weren't many jobs in sport back then.
Were you a footy player?
Yeah, played footy, played rugby, but I was probably more into my sort of triathlon stuff, and I wasn't very skillful as a rugby player, so hand-eye is not my strength.
What age are you at this point?
18, 17, 18. Moved down to Dunners, loved Dunedin, probably a little bit too much to be fair. And finished my degree, knew nothing. A 4-year degree, finished. I was like, I don't know anything and there's no jobs. So I went over to Aussie, and the Aussie government paid me a scholarship.
Yeah.
So I got a scholarship to carrying on with my studies. So I did a 4-year PhD in Australia.
So that's 8 years all up.
8 years all up,
Wow.
fully funded.
Did you love it? You obviously love studying.
I love being a student. Yeah, you love being a student. I tell you what, gee, best years of your life. But and the fact that I was earning pretty good money, and I just like as a postgraduate student doing a PhD, I was able to sort of tailor what I was learning about to my studies.
Yeah,
a lot of independent learning, and then I started. Actually, my first paid coaching gig was NRL referees.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's a couple of local NRL referees, and they were, back then the referees were getting hammered for not being able to keep up with the game. And, so we had to, I sort of rolled my sleeves up and got to work with some NRL referees, and that was my first paid gig. And then I came back to New Zealand. As soon as the Aussies had finished paying me my scholarship, I came back to New Zealand, grabbed one of their best ladies, and my wife's Australian, brought her back to New Zealand, and I started teaching.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of the ladies in the staff room, her husband was the S&C coach for the Waikato rugby team. So I said, oh, hey, I'd be keen to help out. And, so next minute I'm at the YMCA in Hamilton, adjusting the weights for these props that played for Waikato, and not doing a lot, but just helping these guys, and I've gone pretty well with them. And the next year, they Ian Foster came into my office and said, hey, do you want to be the S&C coach for Waikato? We want to make a change. I was like, well, where did that come from? I have no idea what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm keen.
You're obviously putting those weights on well.
Oh, mate, I was also adjusting the pins, mate, and changing the weights. I was really got a lot of energy, So that was the start, and that was, you were doing, the players were working 9 to 5. The manager was putting on fish and chips after training. Like it was still amateur days.
Yeah.
And that was 2000. Worked for Waikato for 4 years, gradually got more and more employment or money or time, and then we've got the Chiefs job, and I was with the Chiefs for 6 years.
True. Oh.
Yeah. And actually my first year with the All Blacks, which you haven't included in your 18 years, is 2004. Yeah, I was actually with the All Blacks in 2004 when Graham Henry first started. And I was just the assistant S&C coach. And so I did Chiefs. I did the July series and the Tri Nations back then, and then went and did Waikato with John Mitchell. So I did 3 seasons in 1 year, and it was full on. And young family, I just said, no, I can't do that anymore. So I went to Chiefs full time, and
so you turned down the All Blacks assistant job.
Yeah, for the Northern Hemisphere tour at the end of the year. I just said, nah, it's too much.
Yeah.
I got told by my dad, son, you're an idiot. You don't say no to the All Blacks. But I put my family first, and it's the best thing I did, because I got to actually work on me as a coach with the Chiefs full time, and then the opportunity arose in 2008 after the 2007 World Cup exit. It's another funny story actually getting the job in 2008. Yeah, Graham Henry I interviewed, and no one rang me to say I had the job. Ted forgot to ring me, mate. 3 weeks, I got a phone call from Darren Shan, the manager, saying, Gilly, I haven't heard back from you about your contract, mate. What's going on? I said, what do you mean? I said, I haven't heard anything. He said, did Ted forget to ring you? I said, mate. I was stewing for 3 weeks, thinking, oh, man, what am I going to do?
You blew it.
I blew it. I cocked it up. And, so Ted just forgot to ring me. Brilliant.
That's so good. But how old were your kids at that time where you turned in the All Blacks?
2004, my eldest, my eldest was 3, and my youngest was still in the belly.
Oh, okay.
So, just about to have a second.
Yeah.
So, and when back then I was, how old was I? I was 29 or something, so there was All Blacks older than me.
Yeah.
And then when I started in 2008, I was still younger than some of the players. Yeah. So that was a bit strange, to be fair. And then they went through a phase where I was the same age as some of the players, like a Brad Thorne and the likes, and we're the same age. So, we got on pretty well because we're sort of kids were the same age and all that sort of thing. Yeah, now I'm an old dog. they're all like the same age as my kids. So.
Was it intimidating going into that All Black environment? Did you find it intimidating?
110%. You sort of, I remember in my interview for the job was like, and I'm pretty sure everyone sees this in the All Black interview. It's like, as a kid, it was just something I wanted to be. I wanted to be an All Black. Grew up watching the All Blacks 3:00 in the morning with my dad having bacon and eggs, and so it's something as a young male in New Zealand, it was what you grew up with, and it's what you maybe aspired to do in some way. And so when you then come in and you've been watching these guys from afar, play these incredible games and winning Bledisloe Cups and stuff like that, and then you come in, it's like these guys are not heroes, but that is intimidating. And so you sort of, until you've probably been in the environment for a while, like I'm never comfortable. Like it's never, even now it's like I don't come in and think that, this is easy. This every year it's intimidating because you got coaches that are demanding, you got players that need everything from you. So yeah, it was intimidating, more so back then, but still intimidating now.
What was the key to sort of get through that period?
As soon as you realise that the athletes they're just people. Yeah. Like I think at the end of the day, they're not these freaks of there's nothing special about an All Black.
Yeah.
They are incredible men, but they're just human beings, just like you and I. And so as soon as you realise that they're just ordinary people that have the same strengths and weaknesses that we have, then I think that helps a lot. And as athletes, they have different ways of dealing with pressure and stress, anxiety, depression. Everything's just normal. Like they're just normal human beings. So you become, maybe that's where parenting's helped me. You learn how to help, how to teach, how to parent, how to coach. It's all very similar to me. You're trying to help people grow, and if you care about that person's growth, then and you understand that they're just human beings, and trying to figure out how that might work, I think that's key.
And your kids must have been a little bit older at this point when you decided to go for that All Black role.
Yep.
Was that still a hard decision? Because obviously once you go become that All Black trainer, you're on the road for long periods of time.
Yeah, I think you didn't know, have no idea what the environment's like until you're in it. So it wasn't a should we or shouldn't we. It was like, this is our chance. Let's have a crack, and then let's figure out what it looks like. And it's every year's different. My family got to travel a lot around the world because of the All Blacks. So we know that there's been, that helps. That helps definitely. The time away is, having family come with you as well as possible. So as I said, at the time it was not a difficult decision to start, but it's definitely been a ongoing, how do we do this again for another year?
Yeah. Biggest challenge of being the All Blacks trainer, would you say? That time away?
Oh, 100%. Living out of a suitcase in a hotel. Like, it all sounds glorious, it just sounds so glorious, and and hey, it is at the start. It's like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
But it becomes just like any other role where there's things that are really good about the role and things that are really hard. And I was telling someone the other day, there's a hotel in Auckland, the Heritage, that we used to stay in a lot in Auckland City. We don't stay there anymore, but I've stayed over a year in that one hotel.
Oh, wow.
Like 370 days or something in one hotel. And so that's only one hotel. So you imagine how many nights I spend in a hotel. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I did work it out. I did work it out last year, actually. I can't remember the numbers, but it's stupid.
Huge.
It's stupid numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the challenge of that is your kids growing up, you don't, because of the length of the season, you're away for probably, 4 months straight, and then you're basically home for a big period of the year as well. So you're front loading your years with the kids. And then there's a whole period of time where you're not seeing them very often unless they're coming with you or on the phone.
Yeah.
I guess that's the biggest challenge, eh?
Yeah, well, my youngest, man, she wouldn't talk to me on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was so hard. Like, you'd be away, and up until she was probably 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Like, she would almost, it felt like punishing me for being away. She didn't want to talk to me. So those sorts of things are really hard. But yeah, it's just you are home the other times, so you are able to take the kids to school and do school pickup, and so you sort of just got to maximise that time that you are home and present. But like, compared to some other people in other jobs that are, might be in Auckland City, you're commuting to work at 7:30 a.m, getting home at 6 o'clock at night, 5 days a week. I probably see my kids the same amount as that person.
And you've always been based in Tauranga?
No, the first couple of years of the All Blacks, I was in Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I sort of got an extension of my contract, we decided we could go to Tauranga and be a bit closer to the sun and the coast.
Fair enough when you can
Get out of
choose.
the fog, mate.
And then when did you start, it was 2008, were you the lead trainer?
Yep.
Straight from the start?
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of the staff had been there for a few years, so they'd been in the World Cup the previous year, so I sort of came into a existing group.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I got the job, I feel like, is because I had that experience in 2004. So Graham Henry said to me, you know what the environment's all about.
Yeah.
So I think I was low risk. Been in, knew what it was about, was there when they first started, so I experienced some of the tough stuff they had to deal with, and so I had an experience in the environment, and I think that definitely helped. But I'd come into an existing management.
Yeah, and I guess the feedback a lot of the boys say is you're so relatable, you get along well with all the boys, you're just a lad, you catch up with them all in the morning, you have a good convo with them, and they just enjoy you being around. So were you always like that, and is that, been a strength of yours?
Definitely wasn't always like that. I was nervous as hell, and, you just sort of... I think when I started as an S&C coach, I thought it was all about being the tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
And, yelling and demanding. And I remember it was a big learning of mine, actually. I was writing programs for the Chiefs. No, it was for Waikato, actually. I'd be up till like 3 a.m. in the morning writing programs, really amazing programs. It's best in the world, right? And eyes hanging out of my head, get 2.5 hours sleep, because back then gyms start at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Roll down to Les Mills, hand out my sheets of paper to each of the players, and they're all looking at their program going, can't do that. And I remember like losing my shit because I couldn't actually adapt.
Yeah.
I was so tired. These programs are perfect, and the players weren't perfect because I just played a game of footy. So a big learning of mine was actually the biggest impact you can have is actually connecting with the individuals and being able to adapt and adjust and make decisions with them. So having a full tank for that time versus how good a program I could put on the computer. That was a long time ago. So I think that when I started, it was all about the numbers and it was all about the rah, rah, rah. But now it's actually about the person and trying to understand, well, hey, how are we going to help you be the best on Saturday? You know what you're feeling like. How are we going to make sure that you're still raising the bar? You're trying to be better physically, but how can we get the balance right between loading and getting fresh for Saturday? And everyone's different, so I think being a bit more personable has helped
massively. And obviously, heaps of different characters in that All Black environment. I remember telling me the yarn of when he pulled your pants down.
Oh. I've got a few yarns I could share about Nonu too, actually.
Well, here's your forum.
Yeah, mate. No, I remember who was it? It might have been, who asked me? Oh, one of the lads asked me, hey, Gilly, can you show us how you want to do these chin-ups? So I was like, yeah, jumped up, pulling myself up onto the bar, and Mars behind me pulled my pants down while hanging up on the bar. He loves that. Yeah, another good thing about Ma, like we were about to go to Africa and we're sitting down having some sushi, and he'd obviously come into some cash at the casino the night before, and we played a game. Oh, he dared me. No, he dared me actually. Dared me to eat this big jar of chili that comes on the Japanese tables, when you have.
Yeah.
He said, how much for that, Gilly? And I said, $500. He said, all of it. I said, $750. He said, okay. About to get on a long haul flight to Africa. So and he said,
you ate it.
He said, no water. I was like, oh, okay. So
after you've agreed to it.
So no, that was his last rule, was no water. Yeah. So I chopped this whole jar of this chili powder.
Crazy.
Like heaps of it.
Yeah.
And you're trying to swallow it and it's just starting to burn you up. And I'm like, that wasn't too bad. He hands over the cash. I'm like, being all tough, and get on the plane, lay down, go to sleep, and then about half an hour later, I'm like, guts is good. And it was the worst trip to Africa I've ever had. But it was worth it because Mark gave me a bit of cash. Yeah.
$750.
Oh, it was something crazy like that. It was a lot of money to me back then, that's for sure. It was like, wow, that's going to look after my family for a few weeks. How good.
Obviously, to nick a whole thing of chili.
Yeah.
Any other characters that really stand out during your times with the All Blacks? Must have been plenty, eh?
There's plenty of characters. Mars a special human. Love that man to bits. I remember a little group I had when I first started. They were coming into the environment and not in great shape. So I was getting them up at 6 a.m. and taking them down Les Mills to lose a bit of hanu, and I hated it. It was just like, man, I need sleep as well, man. So boys, can you sort it out? So anyway, we were doing that, and then they weren't actually changing much, and they were eating too fast and stuff like that. So we had a chopstick crew where they weren't allowed to eat unless they used chopsticks to try and slow them down. And I remember Mark coming up to me going, "Hey Gilly, so if I don't have 20 pieces of sushi at lunch, you reckon I might lose some body fat?" I said, "Yeah, maybe." He said, "Oh, okay." And then honestly, it was like penny drop. And 3 weeks later, he's like lean. And for the next 10 years, he's in the shape of his life. And it was just like the penny drop. Oh, if I eat a bit less, it was just a classic moment. And Ma then experimented with how he was going to feed himself, what sort of nutrition to try, and he was awesome.
Look at him now, still playing at 42 or whatever.
That's what I mean. Like, he sort of went through this moment of actually, just going to make a few better decisions and be a bit more disciplined around some stuff, and still going, mate. How good.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's your work.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It was all Mark.
You taught him to eat slow. Or less.
Eat slower and just eat a bit less. It's not rocket science, mate. But penny dropped and boom.
Yeah.
No turning back for him.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, it must be quite cool having the influence. Like, you obviously have a big influence on a lot of these guys' physical health and rugby careers, I guess. And you can look at someone like Ma, who's played to 42, and just sit back and be like, I played a part in that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't think that, they still have to do all the hard yards.
Yeah.
And they have to make, have the discipline to make good decisions and consistency and all that stuff. But I like to hope that I can plant the odd seed here and there, and sort of germinates into something that sort of keeps growing in them, and they can just carry on playing, look after their family, doing what they love, so hopefully I've helped a few.
Good stuff. Yeah. And what about games? Like, what sort of games or tournaments stand out to you during your 18 plus 1 year, 19?
I think obviously 2011 was pretty special, being in New Zealand. Like, that was pretty huge. And we had lots of adversity to overcome.
Yeah.
With Dan tearing his adductor.
Was there anything you would have done in hindsight to avoid that?
No, not really. I think maybe giving Stephen Donald a program when we went whitebaiting. I remember him coming in, and because I'd worked with Beaver at the Chiefs.
Sure, yeah.
He came in, and when his jerseys weren't fitting him, I knew he'd been having a bit of fun. He wasn't just whitebaiting. I'm sure there's enjoying a few cool ales while he was catching these little fish. But
were you concerned at all as the trainer, like seeing the nick that he was in, knowing that our
Nah, because he's got a big ticker, so it was never going to be an issue. Like he's got pretty good base fitness.
Yeah, okay.
That was never going to be an issue. He puts on lean muscle pretty easy, so it was. I'd like to think that most of it was bicep from hauling up the big whitebait nets, but no concerns. But it was only my 4th year in the environment too, so you sort of. You don't know what you don't know, so no, there wouldn't have been anything different we would have done. I wouldn't have thought. Maybe gone deeper in some positions, because you get caught out at World Cup, and so we never knew that we might be going down to our 5th or 6th first 5/8. So from that World Cup onwards, we always knew that we had to go deeper in positions. And at the World Cup in 15, the learning from 11 was we need to go deep in all positions and have people ready back home. And so Joe Moody.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Joe Moody's playing NPC, and we're just keeping him ticking over. He's in the frame. We're keeping an eye on him back home, and next minute he's flying over, and he's in the World Cup final.
Yeah,
and so we learnt from 11. And so you talk about memorable campaigns. 2015 was special.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty cool. Like, how dominant we were. The farewell to so many legends of the game with a World Cup title. Really special. Yeah, I sort of one memory I have of that tournament was Conrad Smith. In the shed he got subbed in the final for Sonny Bill, and yeah, it was a tough moment I think for Snakey, but for everyone because he doesn't get subbed, and he got subbed in the final, and it's his last game in the All Black jersey, and yeah, that was sort of quite emotional for everyone. But he credit to the man, he moved on and got on with it, and we won a title. How good!
Yeah.
Another memory of that tournament was Liam Messam didn't play a minute of the World Cup, I don't think, and was Waterboy with me in the final. And I remember getting up in the morning and he's still in his Waterboy kit in one of the players' room, dishing out water bottles, but there wasn't water in the water bottles anymore, was there? And he's still got his bib on. It was brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, those are the sort of memories, that you have throughout your career. Just so good,
Yeah.
It's the little moments off the field that you get to witness. You get to see some of these legends of the game and get to see what they're really like. It's
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you you don't have a say in any of those substitutions, like the Snaky one, like for him to come off? Well, obviously wasn't a conditioning thing. Is that just purely tactical, that substitution?
Yeah, 100%. Like, the All Blacks, it's all about what's best for the team. And at the time, the coaches obviously decided that the best thing for the team at that moment was to bring Sonny on.
Yeah.
And you'll never know if it was a right or wrong decision, but it can't have been a bad one because we won convincingly.
Yeah.
And so, it's nothing to do with us on the sideline. We weren't even aware, at halftime, Snakey's staying in the shed and I'm checking in on him, you're right, mate. Because he looked like he'd been concussed or something. He didn't look great. So
he's just gutted.
As you would be.
Yeah. And so, even leading into games, there's no you don't have a say in any sort of
it's discussed, right? It's discussed, like on occasions you'll be discussing how a player's travelling physically and, you sort of, that's discussed to give the coaches the information they need so that if we want to look after someone or if someone's only got 50 in them, then they're aware of that.
Yeah.
But we're not on the radio saying, I'll get him off now. And likewise, the coaches might communicate with us, at the 50-minute mark, how's so-and-so looking, Gilly?
Yeah.
And then it's like, he's looking fine, or checking on so-and-so, and they're fine or they're not. Has he got another 5 minutes in him? Yep. Those convos happen.
Yeah. As someone who's run the messages before, I know how big of a role that is. You're doing it on the biggest stage. How do you find giving those messages? And surely you've had a few messages that you've had to sort of give the thumbs up to, but not deliver personally on the field.
Oh, 100%. And I first learned that. I actually first learned that in Waikato days. I got a message from the head coach saying, can you go out and tell so-and-so if he does that again, he's off. And I'm like, yep. Go out, pat him on the back, keep going, mate, you're good. So, but in the All Blacks, you sort of, there's, the messages are different.
Yeah.
Messages are normally constructive, detailed, and often players will be asking questions as well, like, hey, are the coaches seeing anything backfield? So there's a bit of two-way dialogue going on.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's important. And I think that maybe when I was younger, messages you'd be delivering, but players weren't necessarily listening.
Yeah.
Versus now I think maybe if there's a message, they know that it's coming up top. They know that it's important to think about and it's information that they just need to hear. And then they decide as drivers what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, that's cool. And we've spoken around the highs, but obviously some losses in there as well. Any tough losses that stick out for you?
Probably, plenty. But the toughest one was probably World Cup 2023. For lots and lots of reasons. But one, we were 14 men for 50 minutes or whatever it was. It felt like we were robbed of Sam when maybe they could have lost their skipper too for longer than 20 minutes or 10 minutes. Couple of kicks could have gone over that were just not quite there, and we could have won that World Cup against all odds. It was a tough tournament because it was a lot of staff's last tournament or last game with the All Blacks. Talking about staff that have been involved for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. every final we got through. So you win the quarterfinal, that could have been their last game. We win it.
Some game too. That must have been one of the all times for you.
100%. I think, look at that last 7 or 8 minutes. It's the longest period of play in international rugby.
Is it ever?
It was like 7 minutes 40 or something.
Oh, trainer's dream.
And you just watch it and they just run out of puff. They just run out of options. We're just this black wall, this relentless black wave, which is what we talk about. And they did it. And it was just like they couldn't get through, and they just ran out of ideas, and they just keep going backwards and slower and slower and slower. Sammy Whitelock makes the last play, huge turnover, and then Rico Ioane starts yapping, and how good, love it. But that potentially was a lot of people's last game, and so you win that, and then it's like, okay, well, one more week, okay, another Monday, but another game with the All Blacks, and so there's a lot of staff really emotional, as it would and should be. So to not quite get there, probably the toughest loss by far in terms of the meaning, and how many people it was their last game. Because normally you're saying goodbye at a World Cup. You're normally saying goodbye to 7-10 players, but never 17 management and 10 players. Yeah. So that next day it was a really sad day because 2/3 of that group were finished, and we just didn't have that little gold cup in the middle of the circle, which would have made it feel a little bit better. Yeah,
but I guess the performance of it you must have still been so proud of that effort, that game. Like it was still, even though we lost that game, it was still
proud but gutted.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you're sort of like, awesome lads, great fight. Awesome. We could have won it. We should have won it, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Like, so it's in the history books, we came second, and it'll always be that way. But it's, it was probably the toughest one, mate. Like, there was a lot of tears, that day and that next day, across the whole group because it was sad.
Yeah. And that's the brutal thing of sport, isn't it? Or the beauty of sport, but also the brutal side of it. It's won in such small margins. Like you talk about all those little things that could have potentially gone the other way and the result's different, and
even the try that got disallowed. I mean, for God's sake, like how many phases you want to go back, mate? This is ridiculous. They're still doing it too, which is anyway.
What do you like?
I've moved on, obviously.
What do you like on the sideline? Are you aggressive?
I'm out of
control. Fully into it?
Yeah, no, I'm out of control. I'd like to say I've calmed down a little bit, but I've just I used to take We struggled to find a supplement years ago that had enough caffeine and beta-alanine and creatine in it, so I designed one, commercialised it, and we sold it for a while. It was called Nectar. Well, that's what we called it. We called it sweet Nectar, and it was a little pick-me-up before gyms and before games. Anyway, I got into a horrible routine where whoever was running water with me, we had to have Nectar before we went onto the sideline. Yeah. And so we go on the sideline, start tingling and caffeine's kicking and we'd try and bring some energy from the sideline. And, I've had a few warnings here or there from touchies and from referees even. So I've curbed my sort of enthusiasm a little bit.
Yeah.
But I care so much. So I sort of just comes out. You just get a bit emotional and there's a lot on the line. And so, you're encouraging the players as much as possible. So I don't know how much they hear us on the sideline, but, if you can help someone get to their feet and back in position a bit earlier because you're yelling at them, then, that could be the difference because the games, as you said, the margins are small. So, whoever's in the box with me nowadays, we definitely bring a bit of energy and excitement.
Bit of nectar heat.
Yeah, we don't have nectar anymore, but I don't know. I'd probably have a heart attack if I had this stuff now.
And you handle the losses. Like when you have a loss, does that sit with you for a few days, or you struggle to get over a loss, or you're pretty quick now that you've been through it so much?
I hate it. They hurt.
Yeah.
You sort of straight away into what could I have done different or better last week? And I'd hope that process that I go through is exactly the same as a player, and every one of the member of staff should be going through. How was my performance last week? That, like we lost. Okay, we came second. How could I have helped us be better? And so that's a process that I go through every week anyway. but you probably look a bit deeper when you've had a loss. So often we play poorly and we win. I'll still go, why did we play poorly? We won, but how could last week have been different or better? I sort of drag my lip around for probably Sunday, just like most players do, and then you go to the review, and a good review will be honest, and it'll show all the positive stuff, and it'll show the negative stuff, and then it'll be like, okay, time to get better now.
Yeah.
And so then you kick into your week. So Monday morning's an important start to the week for us, because we start in the gym, and I'm the first person they see. So I'll try and make sure that there's energy and positivity straight away, because everyone's hurting. But you sort of got to use that hurt to be better. So I'm no different to the players.
And has that schedule been the same since you started? Like it's up until now?
No. We 2009 we lost to France from memory, and 3 times to the Springboks, and so we had a bit of a meeting of the minds. It was in Christchurch, actually. So the Richies, the Dan Carters, the likes, Conrads. And we had a bit of a meeting with the coaches, myself, the manager, and the leaders to say, well, hang on. How come we're not getting what we need on Saturday? And so we reviewed the week, and we started with a clean slate. And obviously back then all the clubs were doing different things as well. So everyone hadn't really settled on a plan. So we basically put together a new week that would enable the players to be clear with game plan, also allow the players to have time to work on individual skill sets, and then finally have a full tank to express themselves on Saturday. Yeah. And so we came up with a week structure. 2009 went on the Northern Tour. I think we went unbeaten on the Northern Tour. The week went down a treat, and so we have not changed it since. Yeah,
and now that's the week that every professional rugby team in New Zealand basically does.
Pretty much, the weeks become really normal.
Yeah,
So 2009 is when we first put that in place, and clubs kept experimenting a little bit with changes and their own way of doing things, and I think the clubs have to do things slightly different because turnaround times are different, Friday, Saturday games, whereas we're always Saturday and we always travel, so our routine's pretty set. And so, we haven't changed it, and even with this new coaching group, we've sort of, we've kept things pretty similar.
Yeah. What has been the biggest change with the new coaching group come in?
I to be fair, I would say it's been a filling out period for everyone.
Yeah.
The coaching group, the management team, because it's all new, understanding and feeling test match footy in the All Blacks, because there's test match footy with other countries, and then there's All Blacks test week, which is different because, we have a lot of commercial and a lot of media obligations, so there are other demanding things. We play a lot of tests, and a lot of them are away from home, so there are differences in our environment to other international teams. And players having a feeling out period, totally new coaching group, totally new management team. So everyone's sort of sitting back a little bit, just feeling it.
Yeah.
So it's probably been the biggest shift from what I'm used to, because there's been a lot of change. But no, positive. We finished the tour last year and things were humming. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it was the biggest change in your whole time, wasn't it? First time it was ever a full...
Oh, without a doubt. Massive change. You always get big change in player group and leadership group. There's always turnover. But massive change in the management team.
Yeah, cool. And excited about what's ahead?
Yeah. No, I'm starting to really get there. It takes me a while to... I sort of finish in November, December, and I try and get away from rugby S&C for a bit.
You get into Ironmans, don't you?
I dabble in that stuff. But I sort of try and forget about programming and all that stuff, and then I try and start fresh.
Yeah.
So sort of April, May, I start thinking about the year ahead and how am I going to, I suppose, be better than I was last year, or how are we going to have a better program? How are we going to get more out of the players and the team? And ironically, you end up sort of going back to tried and true methods, which is cool because it means that maybe there's something in there. But we're trying to stimulate things up, change things up a bit this year. Again, new staff is good in a way where it actually can create a little bit of stimulation for everyone, players and other staff. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. So how do you do your Ironman? How do you find the time to do?
Well, I'm at home. I'm not with the team for summer, so I basically train up to it. Just probably spent 3 months getting myself ready, and it's not getting any easier. But I love.
How many have you done?
11 Ironmans.
11. Yeah. Far out.
Yeah, I love them. I just love to do it every week, man.
Would you?
Oh, it's so mentally and physically challenging. It's really testing yourself against yourself. Like the demons come out. Like I was telling someone this morning, like I must have been in a state. I did one 2 weeks ago, and I must have been in a bit of a state at the end of the marathon because I actually can't remember looking at my watch for the last 2 hours. Like I was, but I must have been so in the zone trying to fight cramp and trying to fight the urge to stop.
Yeah.
And walk. Like you just that I actually don't remember looking at my pace because I was a bit gutted with my pace, and my pace was not quite where I needed to be. I couldn't have gone any faster. But
you don't even know where you were.
No, well, that's what I mean. Like you reflect on it, and go, man, I wish I'd gone faster. I'm thinking, I don't know if I could have, and actually
wasn't even in my body.
Nah, I was somewhere else. Yeah, holy.
Would any of the All Blacks you think could run one?
I trained Liam Messam up to do one this summer. Yeah, he did Taupo Ironman this year, and I'm keen to actually set up a bit of a competition, to be fair. I would love Kieran Reid's of the world, Richie McCaw's, Conrad Smith's, and this is a shout out to you lads, actually, if you're listening to this, Liam Messam, White Crockett, all you boys that are dabbling in your endurance sport. I reckon we could do a hell of a fundraiser.
That would be cool.
We could have All Black against All Black, Ironman, but have it handicapped by weight.
Oh,
so they don't.
So Crocky's got a chance,
mate. Crocky's going to come. He'll be favourite.
Yeah, would he?
Oh, I reckon he'd be right up there.
Is he?
Yeah, and I could train them all, and we have this. We identify a charity, and we make it handicap based on weight. It'd be a hell of an event,
mate. Sounds like a reality TV show too.
Mate, honestly, it would be
so
so
that's a
cool.
Netflix.
Oh, mate, it would be amazing because it's a cool event, and it's a challenge that those guys would actually they'd excel at.
Yeah, man, that's cool. I like that idea. And you've got a few little side hustles, haven't you? Like you're pretty good in the background at chipping away. We've got Rugby Ready and Gilly's Garage. We've got all sorts going on.
Yeah, no, Rugby Ready is sort of my passion at the moment. It's we've got a we're basically trying to help people with their physical preparation to be a better rugby player at whatever level, whether it's school age, club footy. We've got guys in the Japanese top league. We've got guys in the MLR. We've got guys in the top 14 in France. So we're sort of helping people of all sort of levels.
And is that you doing that? You're helping them?
Myself, and we've got 2 other coaches.
Okay,
so,
cool.
So I have a few one-on-one clients, and then we've got a few sort of community-based clients that are sort of subscribers, so to speak. So we're trying to. We got coaches that we have a coaching group that we sort of connect twice a month on. Yeah, cool. So S&C coaches from around the world, we're sort of not mentoring, but trying to create a community of sharing and learning together. So that's pretty cool,
mate. Doing good things.
Yeah, love it.
And the Gilly's Garage.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Like I've set up a gym at home. It's funny. It's not I wouldn't say it's a high performance gym, because I'm not a high performing athlete, but, it's probably a gym that's tailored to an older carcass, so I've got a hack squat machine in there, and I've still got a squat rack and stuff, but, my back doesn't handle that stuff too good. So, lat pull downs and seated rows and, hip machines and all that sort of stuff. So.
And can people come and use that?
No way. No.
No, this is just your own private.
This is me.
This is your own Ironman thing.
Yeah. It's pretty much me and the family. And, I'll probably I've got a little group that a few friends of ours, we've got a group called Iron Dads. So it's just old dads that do Ironman. So we'll probably open it up to the Iron Dads at some point.
It's got a ring to it, eh?
Yeah.
It's another business.
No business there, mate. No, just some old battlers.
Always hustling though, eh?
Nah. Just I just love it.
Yeah. Are you signed all the way through to the World Cup? Is that how your contracts work? Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
And do you future plan, like, is there a sort of planning to be at peak at that point at the World Cup, or is that too far away?
Me peaking or the
You and the team.
Mate,
You're on the nectar.
Yeah, you do think like the holy grail is the World Cup, right? So everything's about the World Cup, but the All Blacks, we sort of have to, we don't look too far, we can't look too far ahead.
Yeah.
We got France coming over in July, and they're one of the best teams in the world now, and so right at the moment we're just thinking about how we beat France 3-0, and that's the priority. And then in the background, you're sort of, the coaches, the selectors are looking at depth, and in 3 years' time, who's probably going to be where we need them to be. And so, you'll see young All Blacks that'll 3 years' time, they're going to be in their prime.
Yeah.
You'll have some older All Blacks that they might not be in their prime. They're going to play a crucial role at the World Cup. You think about the last World Cup, we had the likes of, Sammy Whitelock, the Dane Coles, the guys that have been around for a long time and are still in prime physical condition, but it's their leadership that is probably the most important thing that they offer the group. So, so I think the management team are always looking long term, but always Saturday.
Yeah, has to be. How
we're going to win Saturday, mate? Let's just through Saturday. Let's think about next Saturday after that.
Yeah, mate. There's a bit to it, eh? Like it's far out. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I mean, we plan ahead. Like we're looking at next year's tour to South Africa already. Looking at the detail of that.
Be too, yeah.
It's gonna be tough, but how good? Yeah. 6 or 7 weeks up in Africa. It's it's going to be a hell of a time.
Quick one here from the Betcha desk. We've got some Waterlad specials for this weekend. First one, the Warriors, 375 against the Broncos, 1-12. I know they were poor last week, but they don't play that badly twice in a row. You can also chuck Melbourne Storm head-to-head, $1.33. They are too good for the Cronulla Sharks. I also have my Kiwi hat on here. Kaikara France, $3 to win his fight this weekend. And a couple of specials for you at Addington. This Friday, we've got Banksy, $2.70. Blair Orange Drives, named after the great Marty Banks. That wins. This one's a little bit more dodgy, but Mystery Beach. This is a Bradmore special. Race 1 at Addington. Mystery Beach, $8.50 and $2.35. As always, never bet more than you can afford to lose. Gamble responsibly and enjoy your weekend of sport. Well, mate, I've got to get to these questions because, like I said before you came in, I
thought we're nearly done.
We are nearly done, but we've got another 100 questions for you.
Good on you, mate.
Now, we'll keep this short. But the first one is actually, this one's from the Alpine Spas crew, who I know you're doing a few shoots for lately, so I'm looking forward to those coming out, you and your Speedos. But what are the benefits from sauna and ice baths?
Yeah, good question. Well, ice baths have been around for a long time, especially in rugby, but the main thing with ice baths, cold water is no different to ice pack. Helps with muscle soreness. And then there's the endorphins, the feel-good factor, the mood, the feeling you get when you get out, you feel amazing. So there's a psychological, mental health benefit. So 2 things, physical recovery, reduced soreness, enable you to go again the next day better. And then there's the benefit from a health, mental side of things in terms of feeling better, feeling energized, feeling refreshed, all those things you feel when you get out of cold water.
Yeah.
So there's a sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system response, help with heart rate variability and generally good for recovery.
And sauna?
Sauna, really similar actually. Like I mean, I've got a sauna at home and a lot of rugby players now sauna a lot, which is awesome. A couple of things with sauna, like when we exercise, our muscles create heat. Our body learns how to get rid of that heat by increasing a sweat rate, heart rate, and breathing rate. And so in a sauna, the same thing happens. Your muscles get hot. Your body has to breathe more, pump more blood, and cool down by sweating. So you're getting all those physiological changes happening sitting down. So you're increasing this sort of physiological fitness or conditioning. It's called hypothermic conditioning. So we're actually getting our cardiovascular system more trained by sitting in the heat. So blood flow, great. Flushing toxins, great. mental health, great. Like there's science that's suggesting that, the sauna and cold can actually help with symptoms of anxiety and depression. So there is mental health benefits of these extremes of heat and cold. But you only need to do them and you'll feel it. You jump in a hot and you jump in a cold, you feel amazing.
Yeah.
And so you feel that amazing. It becomes like, wow, this is awesome. I need to do this more often. But there is genuine physiological benefit of cardiovascular reduction in cardiovascular disease, things like that. So not just for athletes, but general population. If you were to add something to your toolkit to be healthier and live longer, it'd be something that you should invest in.
And what would the perfect week of saunaing and ice bathing look like?
For me, for you?
Yeah, for just the average person. Me.
Oh, well, the thing with both of them, like particularly sauna, like you sleep so much better too.
Yeah.
So
and is that only if it's at night, or is that if you sauna any time?
I think you'd get benefit at any time. It's it's like if you exercise, you sleep better. It's the same sort of thing. Like, so sauna's like exercise, but you're not having to pound the pavement. I'm not saying only sauna and don't exercise.
That's my issue.
But I think, I think it's if you're trying to be healthier, you're trying to sauna often, cold plunge often, exercise often.
Yeah.
And come up with what works for you that's realistic and can be consistent. So I don't sauna every night.
Yeah.
I'll try and sauna 2 or 3 times a week, but it's something that's it's a consistent part of your routine, just like going for a run or going for a bike ride.
Yeah. And would you have a routine of how long you sit in that sauna?
Oh, like you can, but I was using it to get ready for Ironman, and I was sort of doing, if I trained and then got straight in the sauna, I'd only do sort of 15 minutes. Depends how hot the sauna is and all that sort of stuff. But if I'm using it as a standalone session, I might do 15 cold, 10 cold, 5 cold. But it just sort of depends on where you're at and how hot it's feeling. But I actually use my heart rate too. I'll look at my heart rate, and when my heart rate's starting to get up there, I'll get out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Mate, Alpine Spas, go get one.
Oh, yeah, how's good.
What a start. Okay, this one was probably the most common one. Who is the most naturally, physically gifted player you've ever seen?
Yeah, wow, there's been a lot. There's been a lot in my day, but right now, if I was to say who's in the current squad that's pretty special, part of me, Rika Ioane's pretty talented physically, like fast, runs like the wind, good engine, can go all day. Strong and powerful.
Yeah.
Big. He's 106 kilos or something. So he's got everything. There's a Bowden Barrett who real quick can more than run all day, like just doesn't slow down. He's like a ever-ready battery. Just gets faster and faster and faster. Damien McKenzie, like, wow. Richie Moe, when he was here, get him under a bar in the gym, squatting, like, power to weight, huge.
Beautiful lifting technique.
Just amazing to watch, George Bell, young player coming through at the moment, like strong as an ox.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of physically gifted players. I think way back in the day, Jose Aguirre.
Oh, yeah.
It just horizontal jump, just like almost flies through the air, just like in the air for so long. It's just crazy to watch. They're probably the ones that spring to mind. Out of the All Black group. There's people that have been in the All Blacks that have been best players in the world for a long time that weren't physically gifted.
The Conrad Smiths of the world.
Oh, Snakey, mate. Like, he won't mind me saying, I remember him, 2015 World Cup final, right? His last week in the All Blacks, PB'd bench. And he was stoked.
62 or something.
Well, I wasn't going to be. It was a bit better than that, but I want to say it was like 120 or something. So he's been a pro for like 10 years or something, and he's benching 120. Like, he was chuffed.
Yeah.
So you got guys that aren't physically gifted, but they're outstanding on the field.
Yeah.
You people would have heard me talk about Richie. Like, Richie wasn't. He was crap in the gym. Not a fast twitch fibre in his body, not strong, not quick, but could run all day.
Yeah.
And all that happened at the end of the game, he just doesn't slow down.
Yeah.
Everyone else is getting slower, and he's just staying the same old. which is enough to be faster than everyone else.
Yeah,
you know?
well, that's the same as Conrad, isn't it? Like
100%.
just same speed, not quick, but
Absolutely.
81st minute, he's the same speed as what he is at the first.
And everyone else has slowed down a little bit. And so his ability to go the distance, go the 80 minutes and more, that was their superpower, you know, like, but then mentally they had the superpower to also go to that dark place when others couldn't or wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we talk about gifts. Physically, you can be gifted, but there's also this cognitive ability, this mental ability to actually take yourself where others won't go, or have that ability to deal with pressure and make decisions and be cool, calm and collected.
Yeah.
So, I think physically I can comment on, there's been some freaks and still is, but it's the ones that actually, you know, win those games in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's interesting, eh? I'm just thinking around like the crossover between the guys who are fit, obviously the ones making the best decisions later, the guys with those really big engines, you talk about Conrad and Richie and Bowden Barrett, those guys who just keep going, they're in that ability that their mind is still as sharp, not just their bodies as sharp, but their mind's as sharp as that first minute as well.
100%. Like I was just telling you about me not remembering the last 2 hours of my Ironman. It's like if I had to make a decision about anything, it was going to be a bad one, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think the players are the same. Like you think about, we talked about the World Cup final 23 quarterfinal, Sammy Whitelock goes in, steals that ball. He's made the perfect decision after 7 minutes of defence. You know, so everyone's fatigued, 85th minute or whatever it was, and he's just made a perfect decision. Everyone's been disciplined, and then he's just made this perfect decision. So they're the special players, aren't they? The ones that actually, you know, at the end of a game make beautiful decisions or execute a perfect skill set. You know, under fatigue. So they're the real special humans, aren't they?
Yeah, mate, it's fascinating. Love hearing all about that. Okay, this goes on to the next one about the records. Best bench squat Bronco you've seen.
Oh, Bronco, everyone knows about that. Bodie and Cam Rugard, 412, I think it is.
412,
Gee, bench, probably Safa Amua, 230 or something crazy.
230?
Two something.
Does he?
Oh, he has.
Yeah.
He doesn't always, because then you do something like that and you start getting a sore shoulder or you start getting a sore elbow and then you can't throw the bloody ball in, can you? So, you know, people dabble in that sort of stuff, but Asafo is probably one of the strongest guys around.
You've ever seen?
Yeah, potentially could be, like if he didn't play footy, he would be absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So he's very strong. What was the other one? Squat. Oh, Fletcher Newell's probably, I think he's at 275 or something he did last year.
That's a lot of weight, eh?
Yeah, he only has to move the bar about 3 centimetres because he's got short shanks, but, you know, like.
Are you spotting him under those?
Oh, shivers. No, I'm not going near that, mate. Like, my tiny little arms, I'm not going to hold that up. No, we get in a situation like that, we've got guys either side and behind, and it's a
big
whole lot of weight.
Yeah. And 10 metre time? Who's got the quickest 10?
Yeah. It's tricky because everyone sort of measures them a bit different, you know, like, but quickest nowadays, that would be a good one. It wouldn't be Sev. Sev's got some amazing agility and stuff.
Yeah.
Tell you who used to be pretty special. We used to measure it in the All Blacks where we'd time 5 metres off the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And Aaron Smith was outstanding.
Was he?
So his ability to pop up and go.
Yeah.
He'd almost be horizontal at the 5 metre line.
Oh, yeah. That's why his time was so quick.
Didn't have to get up very high either, did he? Yeah. No, 10 metre time at the moment, it'd probably be, DMAC could be up there, you know, over 10 metres.
Mm. Who would win a 100-metre race?
Rico and Caleb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Would that be whole of Super Rugby or hard for you to tell?
That I know. Hard for me to tell, but once Rico gets wound up, wow.
Everyone says he's the quickest.
Yeah, no, he's quick, but he also gets quicker. Like sometimes runs past me, like he'll do it and if at the end of training he'll run past, and honestly, it's like you almost feel the wind, like he's going that quick, like you almost hear it. Him and Caleb winds up too.
Does
he?
Yeah.
Caleb's had a good speed block on behind him. He can wind up as well. Yeah. It takes a bit longer.
Bolter. So Caleb would beat Will Jordan. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, Jill's abilities around accelerating and changing pace and footwork. You know, like he skins people in a short space versus top speed,
top hand.
You know, Gill's top speed isn't where it needs to be at the moment, but we need to get him there for the next little bit.
Yeah, beautiful. And for next year. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay. If you have 1 hour a week for exercise, how would you use it for general health and well-being?
1 hour?
Yeah.
And across the whole week?
Across the whole week.
I would do...
An hour sauna.
3 20-minute runs.
3 20-minute runs. No lifting.
No.
Nah. Runs.
Yep, runs. Yeah. Or I'd do 2 20-minute runs and a 20-minute bodyweight circuit.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
But yeah, an hour's not enough, mate.
Nah. What would you...
So put it this way.
What's your minimum?
Put it this way. How many hours in a week?
Not sure.
720, 140, 168 hours in a week.
Yeah.
Okay, we spend about 60 hours sleeping. And most of us would spend, we're not talking professional athletes here, but most of us spend sort of 50, 60 hours working.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 hours eating.
Yeah.
You got about 50 hours left at your disposal. And so, you know, we can afford more than 1 hour to exercise. We probably should be spending at least 2 or 3 hours exercising out of 50.
Yeah.
You know, in a week. It's only 45 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Mate, come on, whoever sent that question in?
It's actually, like, what are you thinking? An hour's not going to do. An hour of exercise, put it this way, an hour of exercise is 2 cups of rice. Okay, yeah. It's like 6 pieces of sushi. An hour of exercise.
Jeez. Okay. We need at least 3
Do a
hours.
Nonu, just don't eat the sushi, mate. Then you don't have to exercise.
Oh, good stuff, Kay. You answered a lot of these. How important do you see breath work for professional athletes?
Breath work's interesting, eh? I understand a role for some people. Yeah. It's like there are so many things, you know, we talk in the performance space, we talk about the important many things. There's lots of things we could do to help athletes be better. And then there's a critical few. So what will really make the boat go faster? And I think if breath work is a critical component of your performance program because it's something that you need to work on, your ability to control that space and deal with that stress and that ability to perform in the moment, then it's something that you invest time and energy into. If it's one of the important many and there's something else that's actually more critical to your performance, you do that. So I think there's so many pieces to the jigsaw puzzle that if that's an important piece, then you do it and you do it well. But if it's on the periphery, then obviously you'd pour less time and energy into it.
Yeah, it's not in the All Blacks weeks.
Individuals will do some.
Okay.
So again, if it's important to their week and their performance on Saturday, then they do breath work. And I would say we've probably got 3 or 4 players that are consistent with some breathing.
Cody Taylors of the world.
And Tom Leonard Browns,
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Jeez, good stuff. Okay. Here you go. Can you please ask Gonzo if his beak is getting any longer with age?
Now, who would have put that in?
You'll guess it in one, I reckon.
No, I won't.
Gonzo, is that a common nickname?
No. Well, that's I actually think the one that used that the most was Ali Williams.
Oh, no, it wasn't him.
Tony Woodcock, Andrew Hall.
No.
Oh,
good-looking guy.
Who was it? Good-looking guy.
Yeah.
Wyatt Crockett.
You're laughing too hard at Wyatt. Richard Kahui.
Oh, Kakas. Gee. Okay. Here's blast from the past, eh? Yeah, good on him.
So the answer is no, it's not.
Nah, it's probably getting hairier. my nose, I mean. Yeah.
Can you play rugby with no meniscus?
Oh.
Now you're a doctor.
Yeah, no, I think obviously that would hurt a lot. No meniscus means you got a bit of bone on bone going on, which would hurt. So
not recommended.
Well, it depends how much pain you can tolerate. It's just like me eating a big jar of chili. Like it's mentally tough.
What's it worth?
What's it worth to you? Yeah, it'd probably be a tough old game if you had no meniscus in a knee.
Fair enough. Okay, next one. Do you endorse the Bowden Barrett 6-week speed program? So he obviously spoke around getting fast on this podcast. It took him 6 weeks to get fast and has never lost his speed. So would you endorse that?
I think we can all run faster in 6 weeks, 100%. Yeah. And so, running fast is about running fast. So if you practice running fast, you can typically run faster. So, as long as you're practicing the right things, but speed exposure will help you get better at running fast. So, yep, I'd say that 6 weeks is enough time. Again, assuming you're not starting from scratch. You haven't been laying on the couch.
You're doing the 1 hour.
Honestly, I hope people aren't going to then go, okay, I've been laying on the couch for 6 months. I'm going to go run faster in 6 weeks, because you'll end up a broken ass in a week or two. So, yeah.
But the key to running fast was running fast. And is it that simple?
Yeah, well, obviously you need to be strong. You have good range of motion. You need to be able to, I suppose, have the ability to expose yourself to it without breaking down.
Yeah.
And so, it's just something that you need to do often.
Yeah.
You run fast, you got to run fast often. And we see that now in athletes. Athletes they'll feel better if they run fast more regularly.
Yeah.
I know when I first started in this role, like, it sort of wasn't something that was talked about. If you ran fast in training, well, great. But if you didn't, it didn't matter.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden you ran fast in a game and got a hamstring.
Yeah.
And then you look back and you're like, well, this person probably hasn't run fast for 2 months.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where, you need to get strong and then powerful and then quick.
I instantly thought of Tamati Williams round 1 last year at the Chiefs.
Got a gap.
Opened
gap.
Up.
Yeah.
50 metres out. He saw the line, racing D-Mac for the corner. Hammy.
Yeah.
Gone. Hadn't been exposed to that high speed for
And
too long.
to be fair, like nowadays, that doesn't happen very often with props.
Yeah.
Where they get given, this acre of grass in front of them, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I might be able to get there.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
But it does happen. So you sort of
be prepared
a little bit. Yeah.
Oh man, good answers. Advice for any S&Cs trying to get in there?
Oh, it's you get asked that all the time, right? Like, I think all I can say is you need it's tough to get a role, so you got to be in the right place, right time, but you've also got to build relationships and connections, and so build your network. Reach out to people, mentorships, ask for opportunities to help.
Yeah.
Which is what I did, but people still do that. I know students that have helped me or other environments, and have ended up in roles because of the experience they got. So you can't expect to get a paid job straight away, unfortunately. Some people do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you need experience before you give an opportunity. And so, and I think also, you sort of need to find what it is you love most about the job. And I think if you're passionate and care a lot, then that'll show people a lot about where you're at and what you can do. Because that'll sort of definitely make you more employable if you are seen to be absolutely loving what you do and pouring your heart and soul into it.
Yeah. And then when you're in there, you don't leave. Simple.
Yeah, you're just like a cockroach when it can't get rid of you. Yeah.
Okay. What moments stand out for you in terms of physical efforts in a game? You must have seen a few moments.
Well, we mentioned it before, that quarterfinal 2023 World Cup, that last 7.5 minutes. Like, I think that's pretty special.
Yeah.
But I think, that's probably the one of recent times. And then I think to some of the test matches we've had in Africa where we've flown over to Argentina, we've played Argentina, and then flown all the way back to South Africa and played Africa at altitude. And so we've had these 2 long haul flights, 2 massive time shifts, and then we're playing at altitude against the Springboks in the most hostile environment ever, Ellis Park. Those wins are probably ones where physically you shouldn't be able to get up for. And that's where this thing comes into play, where, sure, we set the week up right and we travel well and all that. So the ability to be physically able to go that distance or win that game is there, but you still have to fight through the pain of altitude, through the pain of jet lag, and know that there's all these barriers that exist that could be excuses to lose have been overcome. Like they're special wins. When you win and all odds are against you, everything is stacked against you. And to win those games, they've always been super, super special.
That's cool. What about individually? Any individual performance where you've just been like, how has he done that?
Oh, we all know about the 2011 World Cup, Richie playing with a broken foot.
Yeah, how bad was that?
Well, he didn't train for weeks.
No training, just
bugger
clarity or not even?
He did very little. Deb Robinson, a doctor at the time, she made really clear, strong, robust decisions early, and it was almost like do little as possible to be okay for Saturday. So from memory, I think he might have taken part in part of the final team run and maybe captain's run, but it was very limited for a few weeks. So I thought that was pretty special to be able to play having not trained a lot, and it not come across like that. I think often we see some players come back from a long-term injury and just front up again, like they haven't missed a beat. I think they're always special, and Richie had a few of those moments. Sammy Whitelock's had a few of those games where he's been out, then come in and just gone, wow. Yeah. Sammy Kane was like that. He could be out with an injury. Like Sammy Kane broke his neck 2017, I think, and is lifting up the Bledisloe Cup less than a year later. That's like the mental barriers that must exist when you've broken your neck and you've been told if your neck wasn't so thick and strong, you would have been in a wheelchair, to then come back less than a year later and hoist up the Bledisloe Cup. That's special, man. So these guys are, I said earlier, they're just human beings, but a lot of them are very special, aren't they? Yeah. To be able to do stuff like that.
That's cool to hear. So cool to hear.
Yeah.
Special men. Okay. Is it true you used to order ramen noodles without noodles in Fukuoka?
Yeah, true. I know who that is too. I was dabbling in my nutrition. I was playing around with high fat, low carb eating, which I love, by the way. It's an awesome way to live.
Do you do it now?
Oh, not strictly, but I don't eat carbs unless I need them. Oh yeah, unless I'm going for a run or something. I sort of I treat my body like a car. Like I'll put petrol in it if I'm burning some energy. If I'm not, I'll try and avoid carbs. But I was over there and I'd go and I love ramen, and I used to go in and I'd order ramen, no noodles, and they'd be like, "What?" Like
that's all we eat.
I would get such bizarre looks, So I'd ask for extra pork and extra egg, but no noodles, and it's like, well, that's not ramen. But anyway, so I don't anymore. I love a ramen with noodles, but only if I've earned it. Yeah.
Only if you've been for a ramen. Okay. What's one attitude do you think young players lack?
One
attribute. Sorry, what's one attribute do you think young players lack?
I think dealing with hard.
Yeah.
I think it's society in general. Like I think the going gets tough. Younger people will get out. Like and I'm generalising here, right? I'm generalising.
You have to with a general question.
Yeah. I think just that ability to do tough and get uncomfortable. Working hard without immediate reward. Is probably something that society's sort of shaping us to get, and we're just all that's in front of us now is immediate. Everyone wants immediate sort of feel good factor versus actually put it in the yards and knowing that the benefit's 3 months away. That's probably something that you see, is people want everything right now, and unfortunately there's a lot of hard work to get some of those benefits.
Yeah, interesting and very true. Hard to argue. Key to putting on size.
Well, it's easy to put on size.
What sort of size?
That's right. That's right. Like I could probably put on, I don't know, 2 or 3 kilos a week for 5 or 6 weeks pretty easy.
Oh, you reckon? Yeah.
Yeah. No, if I lift
from eating carbs again.
If I lift some tin and eat plenty and don't run, I'll put on size band. I'll probably put on 50-50 muscle and fat.
Yeah.
So got to be clear what sort of size you want to put on, but you want to put on good size. So that's about lifting really hard, strength and hypertrophy, and nailing your protein intake. So 6 lots of 20-30 grams a day. So make sure there's protein available in every meal: breakfast, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, supper. Getting the balance right between lifting well, eating well, and then just making sure that your fitness work is complementing that. Do too much fitness work, then what body's getting mixed messages and will sort of trying to break down muscle while it's trying to build it.
Yeah.
So those gains will be slower. Do no fitness work, and you'll put on body fat as well as muscle. So it's not that hard to put it on. It's actually probably harder to take it off. But I always, we see often people will put on weight quickly, and if we put on bad weight, it takes a lot longer to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's So you want to actually put on lean muscle slowly rather than rush it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you rush it too, you put on fat, but you're also feeling like crap. Like you can't carry it around the field.
Heavy, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because obviously a lot of players come on here and most of them have that period where they're trying to put on size quickly to fast track themselves to become a professional rugby player, and a lot of people struggle, or some struggle more than others.
Well, I think there's a saying we've had in the All Blacks for a long time called "hurry slowly."
Yeah,
like if you're 18, 19, 20, and you are wanting to be bigger, well, if you just be patient and just lift well and eat well, by the time you're 24, you're going to be huge.
Yeah.
Because you haven't finished growing until you're 24, 25. Sammy Whitelock, I mentioned before, he came in at 108 kilos, finished 123, I think. And most of that weight was easy weight gained through just maturing as a man, as opposed to necessarily an amazing lifting program.
Yeah.
I think people have to be patient and not try and take shortcuts by doing it too fast.
Artie's another one that pops to my mind around being that different builded, loose forward, explosive, elusive, but all his feedback was always too small, But now look at him, he's playing some of the best rugby ever.
100%. I mean, he was little. He was, like 97 kilos when he was first an apprentice in the All Blacks.
Was he 97?
He was he was small. And, he's now carrying, I think he might be 103, 104 now. So he's carrying pretty good weight.
Yeah.
A lot of weights, Artie's weight's around his hips.
Yeah.
And that's where his strength and power is, and his stiffness. And he, so power to weight and that ability to fight through contact's pretty impressive, eh?
Incredible. He's someone who's, I don't know, he never used to be that strong in the gym. I don't know if he is now, but on the field, the strongest player ever.
And that's why I've tried to make it pretty clear today. Like you can have all these amazing physical attributes, but it doesn't necessarily make you the best player.
Yeah.
Like when I was a young S&C, it was all about, if you're the strongest player, you're going to be the best one.
Yeah.
But actually, you just need the ability to create force to be the best player. It's not about how good you are in the gym. We can definitely help and we can transfer. Artie is strong. Okay, he's strong, but he's not a freak strong.
Yeah.
His strength in the gym isn't transferable to his strength on the field. He is way stronger in the field than the gym. And so, people's ability to be able to have that functional, applicable strength on the field is really different. Same as power and fitness. Like you might run a great Bronco. It doesn't mean in the 70th minute of a game you're the fittest and best player out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to balance up some of those physical attributes with the technical, tactical decision making and functionally how you are in the rugby field.
It's interesting, because I remember teams and trying to make the New Zealand junior grades. There was always the columns where it was your strength and all these red, green or whatever.
Yep.
And I wasn't that strong as a young kid, but then I kept missing out on teams because of it. So then I got really strong. And then one day Colin Cooper asked me, are you strong? And I said, are you talking on the field or in the gym? Because in the gym, I'm really strong.
Yep.
You'll give me a green tick. But on the field, I don't have that same crossover that Artie's got.
Yeah.
Fascinating how it used to work.
And honestly, it's it works a little bit like that now, where I don't look at a player and go, he's the strongest, he should be in the team.
Yeah.
We look at players now and go, he's this strong. How strong does he need to be a better player?
Yeah.
Or is that limiting him on the field?
Yeah.
And so gone are the days, for me at least, where I'll say, you know, his numbers aren't good enough for a prop. Because tell you who's a good example of that is Angus Ta'avao.
Oh, yeah.
In the Blues. Like, back history, limited in the gym around what he can lift lower body. But, man, he's scrummaging the house down still. Functionally, in his core role as a scrummager, is still strong. But in the gym, he's not a high achiever in the gym from a lower body strength perspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's so important for all S&C to understand, I think.
Yeah, like the numbers relative to the individual and relative to how that impacts their performance.
Yeah.
You know, like is strength a limiting factor, or is it something else?
Yeah. Mate, you are on absolute fire. Gilly's advice for preventing overloading injuries, especially kickers.
Overloading injuries. Oh, I think, it's a good question. Any performance program needs to be balanced, right? And so doing more of something isn't always better. So if you're a kicker trying to improve your kicking, more reps doesn't always equate to better success or accuracy, and often it can lead to overload. So I think getting a balanced kicking routine through your week and understanding what's enough, what's too much, you know, and finding that sweet spot of quality versus quantity. It's the same in the gym. It's the same as on the rugby field. Like the team that spends 4 hours on the training paddock on a Tuesday isn't going to be the best team. That's going to have more injuries. So the kicker that kicks too much isn't going to be the best kicker. So I think it's about balance and getting quality versus quantity across all those areas.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like we had Lee Halfpenny come over last year who had such a different kicking routine. He obviously done it from a kid, but would kick 10 times more than any other kicker I'd ever seen. And
what did we see there? What we saw there was other kickers kicking with him and then getting tight or sore.
Yeah.
You know, and so all of a sudden their routines weren't matched up. So you've got to stick to your routine that allows you to feel good come Saturday. So yeah, he's an example of, you know, he's accustomed to that. He's used to that. Other people wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Okay. What separates the good All Blacks from the greats?
Oh, for me, definitely that top couple of inches.
Yeah.
You know, and I think part of that is sacrifice. So top couple of inches to make good decisions, you know, throughout a game and execute the skill set that's required within the plan. But I think that, you know, away from the game, it's that discipline and that sacrifice to do everything that's required to be in the best place possible come Saturday. And I don't mean just physically, but you know, studying the opposition, studying yourself, studying the game, those conversations, that stuff that no one sees. Like it's the best All Blacks are the ones that work hard when no one's looking. You know, it's that's unseen stuff. And again, not just physically, but actually, you know, ice cream comes out. You know, do you have 3 scoops because no one's there, or do you have none, or do you have one? You know, you're about to play, you know, a team in the weekend. Do you just go, oh, we're going to beat them, don't worry about it, I don't have to do any study? Or do you analyse your opposite number or the opposition just like you would any other week? Because it doesn't matter who you're playing, you're trying to be the best you can be. That's the difference. You know, that drive, that sacrifice, that discipline, you know, 7 days a week to then kick this thing in, you know, when it matters most.
Would you see that from a young age, like as soon as guys come in, or did you see guys grow into that sort
people
of?
People grow into it.
Yeah.
Some people have it.
Yeah.
Some people are like that from day dot. I actually remember, like I've talked about him a bit today, need to stop pumping up his tyres, but I remember Sam Whitelock, his first year in the All Blacks, writing down his goal was to hold the record for a number of tests for an All Black lock.
Oh, wow.
That was like 13 years before it happened. He wrote it down. Like Richie did the same thing. I can't remember what he wrote on his when he was a kid. There was footage of it when he was a kid. I want to captain the All Blacks or something. He was like 7. So some of these, some players are like that from day dot, and other players warm into their work. They, and I think it's a beauty of a lot of team environments where you've got senior players and they role model, and so people come in not knowing what it takes. It happens in every team. And all of a sudden, these young people are seeing what the guys that have been around for a while are doing. It's like, so that's what it takes. Well, I better start studying, better start planning, better start eating better. And it doesn't necessarily require a conversation. It's just role modeling, So, in the All Blacks, there's leaders and role models that young All Blacks come in and go, wow, okay, this is different. Okay, they've been here for 10 years. I need to start doing that if I want to be here for 10 years. And they always say that in the All Blacks. The players say it themselves. It's actually easy to become an All Black. It's hard to stay there. Yeah. Because everyone's trying to become one. And so, when you see players that have been around for 10 years, whatever they're doing to help them stay there for 10 years is important. So the younger players start doing it.
So cool, mate. You are on absolute fire. Are game day primers beneficial?
100%. I think any session that is on any day, regardless if it's game, whether it's before a training session, I think if there's a purpose to it for you as an individual, then of course it's beneficial. So if we understand the purpose, then there's benefits for anyone. So some players, the benefit of a primer is just to switch this thing on. Yeah, it's like get out of the hotel room and go and start getting mentally switched on for battle. For some players, it's about loosening up the body, getting the body moving, 4 hours, 5 hours out from kickoff. Some other players, it's another stimulus to hold lean muscle mass. So let's just get a bit of weight on the bar. And others, it's about a neural primer to get muscles firing quickly. So there's a hormonal benefit. So I think there could be benefit for everyone, or purpose for everyone. Just depends on what you need. As to whether it's something you should do or not.
Yeah, optional for the All Blacks?
Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, is there too much pressure on college kids to hit weight/fitness targets?
I think pressure's an interesting word. I think we all need some sort of standard or level to aspire to in anything. Yeah. I think and younger people, if we didn't have a level that we'd like you to get to for a specific reason, then I think people would just flounder around and not sort of have direction. But I think the realistic targets is what's important. It's I think everyone needs to be trying to be better to a point that allows them to be the best player they can be on Saturday. But if getting, like a good example for me is speed, right? We could say you need to be quicker to be a better rugby player, okay? And how much quicker do we need to be? So is being quicker, let's say 20 centimetres faster so that you can escape a hand or a tackle. Do we increase our risk of injury by running faster more often through the week to get that 20 centimetres, or do we get a better game understanding to be in a better place and then be 20 centimetres ahead of the game? So is that what's most important? You talk about Conrad Smith or Richie McCaw. Those guys weren't quick, but they always were in the right place at the right time because they had better understanding of the game. Yeah. So I think we need to understand, is it a physical thing that's impacting our performance, or is it being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or being a bit slow off the ground? Is it speed? Is it strength? So I think, is there too much pressure? I think in some schools there may be too much pressure, but we do need some levels of achievement to help us be better footy players.
Geez, you're answering these questions well. I see why so many came in.
Yeah, well.
2 to go, okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
How many pies and cokes per kilometres on the bike?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, Cameron Brown sort of inspired me in this space. I sort of, on a Wednesday when I'm training for Ironman, I call it pie ride.
Oh, yeah.
Pie ride day. So I'll go for a long ride out to Makatu down in Bay Plenty, and I'll stop, get a pie and a Coke, and turn around, come home. So it's only one pie and one Coke over Yeah, you have to ride for in my mind, you've got to ride for 3 hours before you can have a pie and coke. Yeah. So 3 hours to get the pie and coke, 3 hours home.
Oh, geez, a 6-hour trip.
Yeah, mate.
Oh, worth it though.
Good pie though.
Yeah.
I need to start eating with chopsticks though, because I'm eating it way too fast, and it's sort of a finish. I'm like, man, I should have another one. Yeah.
Have a ramen noodle. Okay, last one. Best piece of advice for a Woodland listener.
Oh, okay, that's a tricky one. Like from a physical perspective,
Anything. Your advice.
Oh, I think
Life, physical, anything.
I think if you love what you do, you'll never feel like you worked a day in your life. Yeah, so I sort of feel blessed doing what I do because I love it, and whilst it's hard work sometimes, it's never a challenge getting out of bed and going to work. Love it.
You can see it, mate. And I can see why you've been in that job for so long, because you're an absolute wizard. And it's been a honour to sit down here with you and go through your journey and hear all the stories about some legends of the game and heaps of insights into what they're like and what they lift and what makes them who they are. So, mate, it's been a real pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me, mate. It's been cool fun.
Oh, man, what an episode that was. Thanks to Betcha for bringing you that episode. If you did enjoy it, please give it a share. Be very much appreciated. Cheers.